Yo, what's poppin', slimes? Y'all know what this is. I just woke up to this. This is breaking news. So the Pelicans have hired Troy Weaver as their new general manager moving forward. This is Joe Dumars' first hire. It's like I told you guys yesterday on the show. Um, Yesterday wasn't day one for Joe Dumars. Clearly, this is something he'd been working on. He probably had several options, several bad options from what I gather, and he went with Troy Weaver. Some of y'all might remember Troy Weaver. He was the guy who he kind of put the team you see now in Detroit together. Well, for the draft picks, he drafted Cade Cunningham, who was the consensus number one pick. He drafted Ivy. I think once what's my man name? Paolo. Once Paolo went number one in that draft, it kind of threw the board off, and Ivy was kind of like just the next in line. When Ivy was picked, I think Ivy was picked fourth, if I'm not mistaken, in that draft. He drafted Killian Hayes. Um, he drafted Isaiah Stewart. He drafted who else? He drafted Jalen Duren. Now, if you go back to his days in OKC, he was the like assistant GM. He drafted Harden and Westbrook. Well, he was the assistant GM, so he I guess worked in conjunction with the GM and helped them draft Harden and Westbrook. But that was so long ago. It's like, I don't really give him too much credit for the Cade Cunningham pick. The pick I do look at him for is the Killian Hayes pick, of course. The Isaiah Stewart, um, Ivy to a degree, and Duran. Personally, I don't like the GM selection. I hope he does well, but you're poaching a guy who just got fired from Detroit for being terrible, and he was working with the Wizards this past season. He was working as a kind of in a what's the word I'm looking for? A consultant role, kind of like Mike D'Antoni does here. He's working in a consulting role with the Washington Wizards. So you poached a guy from a bad organization who was working currently for another bad organization because he got fired from the previous organization, and now you're bringing him into your bad organization. So it's just so perplexing to me because I'm like, what did Gail Benson see with the Detroit Pistons in the last 15 years that she say, yeah, I want to mimic that? Now, for me, if you follow me on Twitter at Cheddar Chaz, I was like, the Pelicans should build their current team like the current Detroit Pistons, given all the injuries that they have, bringing a bunch of shooters and rebounders and things like that. Build what would you call it? Build like a lunch pail roster until you get your health, and then you go from there. But the Pistons of old, why would you want to build your team like the 2010 Pistons? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to bring in, like, you already got one architect in Joe Dumars? Now he just brought in his partner Troy Weaver. Why would you want to do that? Like, and if you look up, this Google Troy Weaver's name, some of the first things that'll come up prior to him being hired with the Pelicans is how disastrous his tenure was in Detroit. Probably get somebody from Detroit on here to talk about it. But shout out, man, we got Detroit Warren. Detroit Warren, if you see the show, call in one day, bro. We gonna drop the link. Maybe you can give us some insight on Pistons basketball during that tenure. But yeah, bro, it's the words to describe this man has been disastrous, stubborn, short-sighted. I can think off the top of my head of a couple of deals that they had like set up that they just didn't take advantage of. They had I think they had Wiseman's contract. He had like a crazy expiring contract that they kind of just let go into free agency. They had Bohan Bogdanovich's contract where it was like 18, I think it was like $18 million or something, and only a couple million of it was guaranteed. They kind of just like let that go to waste pretty much. So he's not some masterful trade tactician or team building tactician, from my knowledge. I don't think he had much to do with hiring Monty Williams, but it is funny that you go from Monty Williams to Monty Williams is I guess you would call him protege, and Willie Green. So it's just so, oh man, it's just so weird and confusing, bro. It's just so weird and confusing. And it's like, what else is going to happen? What else is going to happen? But I told y'all, man, don't believe shit Joe Dumars say. Joe Dumars, I hope he does well, but I just think he came here to retire. And I ain't mad at him. Get your money if you can get it. I just think the writing's on the wall for so much of this, man. It really is. But we'll see. I don't want to count Troy Weaver out just yet, see what moves he makes. But with this Detroit connection, now you got Troy Weaver, you got Joe Dumars. It don't look like Willie Green is going anywhere. It's now the question is, who else are they going to bring in from Detroit? Are they going to try to get Monty Williams on the staff? Because we've been told behind the scenes that if Willie is kept, you can expect quite a few people from that coaching staff to leave. And I don't mean get fired. I mean leave. Like they're very unhappy with Willie Green. So I don't know. Maybe they bring Monty Williams out of retirement. I think Monty Williams coaching in high school, college somewhere. But maybe they bring in Monty Williams. Maybe I'm trying to think who else was in Detroit. Shit, it's funny because James Borrego was actually in the running for the job in Detroit before JB Bickerstaff was hired. So maybe they bring in Flip Saunders. I don't know. What's Larry Brown do? Is Larry Brown still alive? We're bringing Larry Brown. Why stop there? Bring him Maurice Cheeks. Pause. Why stop there? But all right, y'all. It's been today's show, man. I just wanted to tap in and give y'all a quick update. Y'all be smooth, be safe. I'm out. Peace.